Hey everybody, Brian Zane here with your Battleground 2017 review. You might notice things look a little different right now. I'm actually at a relative's house in Oregon. I'm out of town for the week, as I was still able to watch the pay-per-view on Sunday night, albeit a little later than normal, so I'm very tired, and I found the room in the house with the best acoustics, this garage, and so I'm going to give you this review right now. Let's begin with the pre-show match, Aiden English versus Tye Dillinger. I didn't watch the match, couldn't care less about it. Apparently Aiden English got his win back from Backlash a couple months ago, so good on them. 50-50 booking rears its ugly head once again. The show officially opens up with the tag titles on the line as the Usos defend against the New Day in a match where they, for God's sake, they are still harping on this rap battle clip. It's the same rap battle clip from the previous 2 weeks of highlights. Like, boy, this feud's been really getting heated up ever since this rap battle. It's like, okay, you were pushing it when you showed the clip last week on SmackDown, but to show it again the same clip as the basis of this feud or the continuation, it's getting a little old, it's getting a little stale. What are you going to do this week on SmackDown? They're still mad over that rap battle, and they're going to show, hey man, aren't you Kofi Kingston? This is a hell of a match, hell of a way to open this show. Basically, all four guys in the ring, five if you count Big E, went to the back and said, hey, top this, because they just went all out with this. At one point, Kofi is on the top rope, does the trust fall to the outside. The Usos catch him and hit him with a powerbomb on the floor. Good God, man. You don't need to kill yourself for our enjoyment. We like you the way you are. Xavier tries to do the crab walk across the rope to elbow drop, gets super kicked in the face on the way down. That's a kick out. Kofi comes back from the dead to help Xavier Woods hit the midnight hour on Jimmy. Jimmy kicks out, which is crazy. Then Jimmy hits a super kick on Kofi, followed by a splash on the top by Jay. Kofi kicks out of that, and so then Jimmy goes for a splash of his own. He misses it. Kofi hits the Trouble in Paradise, tags in Xavier. Xavier hits the top rope, walking the ropes, elbow drop to finally win the match, defeat the Usos, and the New Day are the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They're now the first team to hold both the Raw and SmackDown titles since the brand split 2.0 started. Hell of a match. Like I said, terrific way to start the show. I was blown away by the stuff they did, and some of the false finishes they did were just absolutely insane. Up next, Baron Corbin taking on Shinsuke Nakamura, and I have to say, going into this match, I was not really feeling this match at all. Not the feud, not this match itself, because I feel like Corbin has lost a lot of the momentum he was building up like late last year, earlier this year. Even though he did win the Money in the Bank last month, I feel like his booking, everything but that moment, has just been kind of like, not really interested. I feel like he's put against the same opponents, and it's just more the 50-50 stuff that really sours me. So, I mean, I feel like he's just kind of like floating in the ether right now. He's kind of in a weird purgatory state. And the same with Shinsuke Nakamura. I feel like they kind of ruined him by putting him in all these multi-man matches and tag team matches so soon after his main roster debut, considering like how Shinsuke was booked in NXT. And comparing that to SmackDown, it's like big fish, small pond, and now he's big fish, and like there is a regular fish in this ocean. And I feel like there's a lot of different factors at play. I'm not saying that Shinsuke needs to be built up the same way on SmackDown as he was on NXT, but there should be some kind of happy medium there. It just feels like, top to bottom as far as like best to worst in terms of booking. Anyway, this match, it was, their styles kind of like hitting each other. It wasn't very compatible styles, basically, because you have Corbin, working the core, doing bear hugs and stuff. Shinsuke doing his kicks and his knees and stuff. And, basically you see these two guys doing the same stuff you see against every opponent. Shinsuke lays Corbin out with a couple of kicks, including one to the back of the head, which looks pretty snug. He's sailing for the Kinshasa, but Corbin is still laid out. He's still passed out from the hits, so Shinsuke goes to pick Corbin up, but Baron takes him to Dick Kick City and gets disqualified. So the match ends with Shinsuke as the winner by disqualification, so it protects him, and it also saves Corbin from taking a pinfall loss or a submission loss, like that. So Corbin leaves, or so you think. He starts to walk off, he comes back in, and then he takes out Shinsuke with the End of Days, which will probably mean this feud will prolong towards SummerSlam. I hope something else happens that makes me care about this feud. Because you got one guy in Baron Corbin who can't talk all that well. Then you have Shinsuke Nakamura, who can talk okay, but he's got a huge language barrier and an accent. For some reason, they like to have him cut promos with a big mouth guard in his mouth. So you've got two guys whose promos aren't really up to snuff, and they're feuding. And so, I don't know. I think promos are a big part in making storylines and rivalries work and progress past a month. So when you have two guys who aren't that great at them, it makes the whole thing suffer. 5-way elimination match for the number one contendership for the Women's Championship. You have Natalya, Lana, Tamina, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch in a 5-way elimination match. They love their 5 ways in WWE. So first of all, Naomi is on commentary, the women's champion. They're giving her something to do on this night since she's not defending her title. Lana and Tamina spend the bulk of their time in the match working together, but Tamina it's hilarious just watching her getting a workout, essentially, having to continually save Lana from all these elimination attempts by other people. She's in the disarm her for a couple of times, and then Tamina keeps bailing her out. Then eventually Tamina gets caught in the disarm her. She taps out. Then Becky immediately makes Lana tap out. I was surprised by this. I figured since they're showing this partnership between the two, that story would continue to the finish of the match, but we didn't get that. They were the first to eliminate it, because then after Becky makes both of them tap out in quick order, then Natalya rolls up Becky with a handful of tights to eliminate Becky. So then you're down to Charlotte and Natalya, and they're wrestling for a bit. Charlotte goes for the moonsault. Natalya puts the knees up, and then Natalya rolls up Charlotte into a schoolboy where her head hits the turnbuckle. That's a very poetic move, because I've seen Charlotte do that before to Bayley when she was on Raw. So Natalya covers Charlotte after that, pins her, and she's the last woman standing. She is going to face Naomi at SummerSlam for the women's title. Naomi gets in the ring afterward to shake Natalya's hand. Natalya fabs her and walks off. So yeah, good match. It was, short and sweet. I think everyone got their stuff in. Again, really surprised that the Lana Tamina stuff didn't get carried over into the finish. If they're going to have a partnership like that, I was kind of expecting maybe Tamina to carry the brunt of everything and just deflect attackers the whole time and help Lana win. That was actually who I thought was going to win this match, just because the writers hate us and they want to try and advance the storyline. So the fact that it ended so prematurely, at least in this match, makes me wonder. U.S. Championship on the line as AJ Styles defends against Kevin Owens. Very grunty action by both men to start this match off. Early in the match, Kevin Owens grabs AJ and runs him crotch first into the corner post on the outside. Very interesting, inconsistent booking here in the show, because earlier you got Baron Corbin getting disqualified for blatantly low-blowing Shinsuke. Here, almost the exact same thing happens, and we know from earlier stuff in his feud with Dean Ambrose that AJ Styles can be rendered completely incapacitated from a low blow. So that's deadly to him, essentially. So the fact that he was deliberately low-blowed by Kevin Owens here, and then no actions was taken, that's also kind of, it's just weird. It's just, it's like very inconsistent stuff. I guess because it's happened outside the ring, it doesn't count. I'm not going to go into too much of the other details of this match, but I will say, it's a great match by both these guys. You know their quality of work, and when you see these two together, it's very, I hate to use the word magic, but it's still a very awesome thing to see these two do their stuff in the ring one-on-one. We've seen it before in the last couple of months, and of course we saw it in Ring of Honor, so to see it here again with the stakes like this makes it for a very exciting match. At one point, Kevin Owens is working AJ's arm after he cuts off a phenomenal forearm attempt and clips his leg on the apron, so AJ's arm is weakened. Kevin Owens is working the arm for a bit, and then at one point AJ goes to the Styles Clash, but he can't get him up because of the arm injury. Owens picks him up like a back body drop, then just shoves him off, and he lands right into the referee. So there's a ref bump, and the significance of that is interesting, because there is no significance, because it plays nothing into the finish. What you have here then is a series of submissions countered by submissions. Calf crusher into a crossface, into another crossface by AJ Styles. Then Owens rolls up onto his back, so he's pinning AJ. The referee, who's recovered by this point, does a 3 count. So Kevin Owens wins by pinfall while he's still in the submission. So very sneaky, heelish move by Kevin to kind of get the last word in. He gets to outsmart AJ Styles essentially by getting him pinned while he's in this submission hold. So sneaky heel stuff. But the ref bump makes no impact on this. There was no chicanery, there was no cheating. Kevin Owens did nothing heelish in the time period that the referee was out. So ref being out didn't really add to the story. It added a bit of cheap, false drama to the whole thing. That was a really confusing thing to have in this match. In something we already saw from earlier tonight, the fact inconsistent booking with the low blows. Now you have irrelevant booking with the ref bump here. It's like if you're gonna have a ref bump, it should mean something relevant to the finish of the match, and there wasn't one. That being said, despite the odd finish, it was a very entertaining match, one of my favorite of the night, and now we get the return of the sacred song. America, 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 America. Up next is a flag match. John Cena making his pay-per-view return, the first pay-per-view match he's had since WrestleMania, going against Rusev, the United States versus Bulgaria. What a contest. So first thing I noticed was they were showing all the international announcers. Ray Rougeau is back doing commentary. That's awesome. I don't know if he left or came back or what, but it's really cool to see Ray Rougeau again in that capacity. This match starts out in a very diagonal pattern, like a lot of stuff where they're just going back and forth between the ring posts where the flags are, and they're fighting to get the flags down. A lot of big spots early on. There's moment, like in the first 60 seconds of the match, where Cena hits Rusev with a top rope bulldog. That's one of the first moves they have in this match. Rusev hits Cena with like a chair drop like a minutes later. Rusev's the first one to get his flag after catching Cena in midair. He's going for the top rope leg drop, but Rusev catches him, hits him with a powerbomb, gets his flag first. At one point then Cena puts the STF on Rusev, then gets his flag, and they're both on the outside, and it's a big fight. It's a race to the top, race to the pedestals at the entranceway to see who will plant their flag first. First, I did notice, and I really appreciated the little split screen effect they had on the ramp, the LED rampway, having half of it be the US and half of it Bulgaria. That was kind of a nice little touch there, guys. These two are just beating the hell out of each other on the outside. At one point, Rusev is setting up dual tables by the American podium. There's a point where Cena's trying to plant his flag, and then Rusev just grabs the pedestal and just like hits Cena with it, which is great. And at one point, Rusev has the accolade on John Cena, and he's gonna plant the flag of the pedestal, but Cena recovers in this very dramatic stopping, grabbing with his bare hands. No, you don't. Not in my house. Not in the birthplace of America, Philadelphia. And they keep fighting. Rusev goes to put Cena in the accolade again, but Cena blocks it, gets him in the AA position, throws him off the top of the American pedestal through the two tables. Cena grabs the flag and plants it, and God bless America, Cena wins in what JBL says might be the biggest win of his career. Like, okay, you keep telling yourself that, JBL. I will admit this match really pulled me in as things moved along. It was starting out very kind of one-dimensional, literally one-dimension, just going that diagonal line between corner to corner. But then like halfway through the in-ring portion, it really picked up steam. And then like I really invested in it as they were brawling on the outside. They were like struggling and fighting to see who could get the flag in first. Not their best one-on-one encounter. I think their WrestleMania 31 match was probably their best one. But be that as it may, it was still entertaining. Was it predictable to have Cena win? Yes, but I've always argued that even if it's coming from a mile away as to who's going to win the match, as long as they entertain me on the way to that predictable finish, it's still a win in my book. So yeah, it was Super Cena. It was predictable stuff with Cena winning here for the good of America, but it was still a really good match. The return of the Fashion X-Files. Who trashed Breezango's office umpteen weeks ago? It's at this point I almost forget why they're doing a whodunit in the first place. So they're returning as the Mulder and Scully knockoffs. Tyler Breeze wearing the red wig. The Ascension come into their office and say, "Yep, it was totally us. Yes, we did it." It was just so transparently not them. Breezango will call them out on it and say, "No, you weren't at the show last week when Tully was found decapitated. You were at the Eddie Money concert." So great continuity between the last time you saw them being interrogated by Breezango. And, you find it's not them. So who was it? And as they're trying to figure out who it was, they're jumped from behind by a mystery assailant. And Fandango is dragged off screen. And then it's to be continued. I was kind of expecting kind of a jump scare because my prediction is going to be Harper and Rowan, being reunited for the 100th time. But I was figuring it's gonna be dragged off screen, and you see jump scare of the sheet mask going, like that. But we didn't get that. It was to be continued. So I imagine SmackDown will finally have the resolution. It'd be amazing if they carry this out of SummerSlam. First of all, funny segment overall, but I was a little disappointed we didn't get the resolution. We were promised, by God, promised that this would end at Battleground, but it did not, unfortunately. So again, funny segment, but it leaves you wanting more, which I guess is the goal. Sami Zayn and Mike Kanellis in a rematch from last week on SmackDown. A lot of the same things happening in this match that you saw in the previous week, only this time was given some more time. A lot of the same stuff with Maria getting involved, physically getting in the ring and preventing Sami from attacking Mike Kanellis more. At one point, Sami is going for the exploder suplex, and Maria gets in there, physically interjects. At what point should the referee, at this point, something like that kind of gimmick, really, the referee needs to show, how much authority he really has, how seriously he can be taken as an official. Because when you have the manager getting in the ring that much and that to that degree, it's it almost borders on a disqualification where I come from. So, this time, however, the distraction does not work. Sami hits the exploder anyway on Mike Kanellis, hits him with a Helluva Kick to win the match. So yay, 50-50 booking at its best once again here on Battleground. As I was watching this, I was realizing oh crap, where do the Kanellises go? The Kanellises, where do they go from here? Because, I think it's a hilarious gimmick. I think it's great entrance music. But then what? What are they going to do with these two here? Just keep doing, lower to mid-card feuds for a while. Like, I think Mike needs to win a championship stat in order to kind of like legitimize the whole thing, because after a while it's like, what are you doing? What's the end game with this character? It just seems like, okay, it's a cool character like in conceptual form, and then when you actually play it out, it's like, what's the long-term goal for Mike Kanellis, as you know, like doing the whole power love thing with Maria? Yeah, at this point I'm still kind of like, okay, we'll see where this goes, but I fear the shelf life of this gimmick is gonna spoil really fast. Main event time, the Punjabi prison match for the WWE Championship. Jinder Mahal defending against Randy Orton. Boy, Battlegrounds is dusting off all these old stipulation matches. A flag match, a Punjabi prison match. It's crazy, these old matches we're getting here in 2017. You know, the whole thing, it's very, the first part of this match to me is a little reminiscent from the flag match earlier, just different ingredients, because instead of the two fighting over a flag, these two are now fighting over open doors, because the whole plot is, you know, have to get out of the first structure by getting through the doors, otherwise they have to climb over the top, and they're just fighting over those first three doors over and over. At one point the fourth door opens and Orton goes for an RKO, but Jinder blocks it, hits him with a knee, but instead of going out the door, which he had every ability to do because Orton was down, he goes to the Khallas, but Orton counters into an RKO. And then in a part that genuinely made me laugh, the Singh brothers just come out from under the ring and drag Jinder Mahal out of the ring, and the door closes and Orton's trapped in there. I don't know why it made me laugh so much, just the whole thing. It's like the goons coming from out of nowhere and doing what they do. Okay, again, so then for the remainder of the match, you've got Orton fighting 3-on-1 against Jinder and the Singh brothers between the inner and outer structure. I did like this point where Orton climbs out of the inner structure as Jinder is climbing the outer structure to get outside, but Orton just leans over and goes from inner to outer structure just in one smooth motion. Thought that was really cool. They keep fighting. He's fighting all three of them. You know, at one point Jinder produces a kendo stick out of nowhere, hits Orton with it. He gets some big red marks on his like shoulder and his back from him. He's bleeding on the arm and the upper back. Orton hits him back with kendo sticks. He also gets a chair at one point and starts clattering all three of the people with it. At one point he's climbing the cage, the outer cage, and Samir Singh crawls through the outer structure, climbs the outside to try to intercept him, but then he gets punched off by Orton and crashes through a table. The Singh brothers only at this point exist to be destroyed by Orton and tables. At this point now, Orton seems to have the upper hand. He's climbing the outer structure to victory, but then, for the first time in who knows how many years, the Great Khali returns to WWE and he marches down to the ring, and the sight of him trying to climb the structure is pretty hilarious because, you know, those stories of how bad his knees are and everything. So he's climbing up there as Orton's climbing, and he basically grabs him by the throat and chokes the life out of him while Jinder Mahal climbs the structure to the outside to win the match. And again, just by hook or by crook, Jinder, you know, defies the odds and defies the haters, and he continues to win, and he retains the WWE Championship. People are hating on Great Khali coming back. You know, I think it's just, it's means to an end, and it's just, again, to establish more of how just despicable and how asshole-ish and hated of a heel Jinder Mahal is, how much he's cheating to, you know, hold on to the belt. It's just, it's classic heel booking. And, you know, again, people will argue that Jinder's reign is not at all like JBL's reign, and I can understand what they're saying here, but in terms of actual just title defenses, it's very similar to JBL in the cabinet in so many respects. You know, you could argue that the paths to getting the championship are different, but this reign in particular, to me, feels very similar, just in terms of the reign from the beginning when he has the title to all his defenses up to this point. Now, I'm not trying to troll here when I say it, but I would argue this is the greatest Punjabi prison match of all time in the three they've done in the company's history, because just look at the last two matches and the participants. It's Undertaker and Big Show and Batista and Great Khali. Four guys who, you know, a gimmick like this only accentuates the negatives of their abilities in the ring. But when you have two athletic guys like Jinder Mahal and Orton who are a nice balance of, you know, they can wrestle but they can also brawl and do these weaponized things, then I think this gimmick match does not really hinder them in any way, pardon the pun. Then you've got the added stuff of the interference of the Singh brothers and the Great Khali. Kind of gets it overbooked, but I think it works, you know. Again, for Jinder's character, I think this works perfectly fine. And yeah, so I would probably say yes, this is the best, you know, Punjabi prison match of all time, and Jinder walks with a champion, and Battleground fades to black. So I'm gonna give Battleground an overall grade of B+. I actually really enjoyed how this show played out for the most part. I didn't really care for Nakamura versus Corbin. I thought that Zayn and Kanellis didn't need to be done. I thought the ref bump and the Kevin Owens Styles match was unnecessary. It didn't play it all into the actual finish, so it's kind of like, it's superfluous. Why is it there? But I was really pleasantly surprised with the bulk of the matches. Again, the tag team opener, New Day and Usos, amazing. I loved it. The women's match, it was entertaining for what it was, and I thought it was fun to watch. Most of Styles and Kevin Owens was a great match. The flag match, again, even though we all kind of saw it coming, it was how it's going to end, at least the journey to the end was entertaining to watch. And the Punjabi prison match, again, the greatest Punjabi prison match of all time. And it actually, was, again, I keep saying entertaining, fun. That's what this was to me. It was just, I came in with very low expectations, no preconceived notions of how things go. Even though a lot of these matches are things we've seen before, at least in a bubble looking at it, it's like, okay, I can objectively look at this and say, yeah, this is some good stuff here. I don't want to see these matches happen again. I feel like we're going to see at least a couple of them for SummerSlam. But at the moment, I think, okay, this is fine. I think this show is fine. So yeah, B+. There's nothing that made me say, oh, boo, oh, I hate this, So as long as I don't get any of that, then it's going to get a pretty fair grade from me. Now I guess it's time for Who Wore It Better pay-per-view edition. So Great Balls of Fire had all of the heels winning their matches throughout the night, which gave kind of a downer feel for the whole thing. Not to mention the attempted murder by Roman Reigns, which was, captivating in its own right. I still think Battleground was the stronger show after several weeks on Who Wore It Better of Raw winning. So it's nice to have SmackDown kind of win here in this pay-per-view format. I think because it was not just a heel fest the whole night, the fact that you had faces and heels winning, you had a better flow, more highs and lows throughout the show. I think the matches overall were more entertaining than like some of the matches on Great Balls of Fire. Also, I would argue the WWE Championship match at Battleground was more entertaining and more satisfying of a conclusion than the Universal Championship match at Great Balls of Fire. So yeah, my opinion here, but I think that Battleground was the stronger brand exclusive pay-per-view for the month. Let me know what you thought about Battleground in the comment section below. Quick programming note, because of my situation here out of town, I won't be able to watch Raw and SmackDown in a timely fashion. So Who Wore It Better this week is going to be a special Friday edition, so be on the lookout for that. Please don't bombard me with comments. Where's Who Wore It Better this week? It's going to come out Friday. I promise. It's happening Friday. So be on the lookout for that. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it. Subscribe to Wrestling with Regret. Buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and bonus content. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.